We got a great panel coming up now on our channel influencers. We're going to get into this program just a little bit, but they decided you needed more than one moderator for this panel. So let's bring out JD, John DeLozier, Intelisys.
You know, my friend. What are we doing?
I don't know, something like this.
We got to get that down.
We didn't practice that.
We got to get that down. We haven't done that in a while.
So good to see you, my man. How you doing?
Good to see you. How's things?
Things are good. So the channel influencers program, which I want to talk a little bit about in just a minute, but I do want to say that we got a lot of pressure on us today because we've got the magician coming up after us. So if you remember correctly, we did a similar panel, just you and me, at the last show. We had Penn and Teller right after us, so that was a lot of pressure. I don't want you to feel it, but you know we got to live up to it.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
and I feel like we got to create our own magic.
Oh, nice.
See that?
Okay.
Our own magic with the panel, right?
Okay.
And it's an esteemed panel, which is really cool. So it should be pretty easy.
All right, let's do it. You can see their names up behind us. So, quick thing about the Channel Influencers program. Every year, our edit team at Channel Features gets together and has a pretty spirited debate about who we're going to name among the 50 influencers that we see making waves in the channel, whether they've done something big, they've been newsmakers in the past year, or we expect them to be in the coming year, whether it's based on some sort of acquisition that their company has made, or they've simply stood out among their peers and their colleagues. So we did it again this year. We narrowed down a big list down to about 50 people, and we decided to get this panel together today. Some outstanding speakers to talk to you a little bit about influence in the channel. So let's bring them out. Come on out, influencers.
Come on out, influencers.
Jen Gallego from Avant. Hey, Jen. Craig Patterson from Aryaka, who happens to be one of our influencers of the year. Also got Riya Shanmugan from New Relic and Ryan Walsh from Pax8.
All right, good stuff. Hi, guys.
Hi, team.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how we doing?
Hi, team influencers.
Thank you all for being here. We do appreciate it. It should be worth mentioning here that JD was our Influence of the Year in 2020. We kind of joked a little backstage about how that was the COVID year, so we've got to make sure that we keep reminding everyone that
yes, there's a certain level of ego that comes with this, and it has to come out every year for the next, what do I have, 2 more years to remind people, or is that
yeah,
it?
at least.
Yeah,
at least.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's pretty typical to come out here in a panel and sort of have you all introduce yourselves. So we're going to do it a little differently this way, since this is an influencer panel. I'm curious if maybe you could, in your introductions, describe what influenced you to get into the channel. Ryan, maybe we start with you.
Yeah, so my name's Ryan. You want me to do the thing? Like,
I don't know what the thing is, but
well, you're keeping this informal, so
anyway, I would like you to do the thing, whatever the thing.
I'll do the thing.
I'm now curious.
You did the bump thing, I'll do the thing.
Oh, got it.
So my name's Ryan Walsh. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Pax8 and a co-founder, so started in the basement. And Pax8 is a cloud marketplace, which is a platform and a company of humans. I've heard that in some cases, marketplaces might not be human-based, but we are, helping tech professionals buy, sell, and manage cloud solutions. How did I get in the channel? I started in the channel as a system integrator. And I worked for Deloitte, and we did re-engineering consulting, and we always use technology to solve a problem. And then later, I joined a born-in-the-cloud vendor called MX Logic. And so I was on both sides of the channel. And that's how I got into it.
Excellent. Riya?
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm Riya Shanmugan. I work for New Relic. I'm their channel chief. For those of you that don't know who New Relic is, we're an observability company. And for those of you that don't know about observability, companies have moved to cloud over the last 10 plus years, and we're seeing enterprises having this oh crap moment, which is we've lost all control of our infrastructure. What do we do? How do we look at all the data? How do we take actions? That's really what observability is, observing end to end everything that's happening in your infrastructure. So if you asked me 2 years ago, would I be in a channel job? I had no freaking clue that I'll be here, but here I am. I was an engineer by education, wrote code for the longest time, ended up in sales, and I worked for someone that said, I'm trying to solve a big opportunity / challenge at New Relic. Do you want to come solve it? And I said, sign me up. That's how I got here.
Excellent. Craig, our influencer of the year, and not just because you have a cool first name.
Hey, thank you. First off, congratulations to my peers here. It's so awesome to be up here with all of you. I think my path is very similar to most people in the channel, right? Like we have a conversation with John DeLozier here, and we get so influenced that we're like, I got to be in this channel. Isn't that how it happens?
Totally.
And once you get in, you're not getting out.
You're not
we
getting
all
out.
know
You're
that.
not getting out.
We all know that.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, my path, I went to work for AT&T out of grad school. And it's funny, actually, I went to work for Chris Jones. My first boss ever happens to be the channel chief at AT&T now. And back then, I didn't know what I was doing, didn't know what this channel was all about. But one of my first or second deals I was working on had a channel partner engaged. And I'm like, what the hell is this? This is amazing. There's a whole universe of partners out there that help customers in an unbiased manner. Like, I want more of that. And so at that point forward, I mean, my destiny was set. I was all about the channel. And so I sought a channel-specific job, and the rest is history. 20 years now in this wonderful channel.
Love it.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Jen.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Gallego with Avant Communications. I run sales globally for Avant. We're a 14-year-old TSD and growing, and it's been great. My journey, like probably 99% of anyone in this industry, was not going to college to be in the channel or in technology. I got my nursing degree out of college, and I am interviewing for nursing jobs all over the city of Chicago, and out at a bar with friends that worked at this company, Nextlink, which became XO. And I said, I'm going to try that. Everybody says I'd be good at sales. And I went there, and I said I'd always go back to nursing. And I got in the channel, and never looked back. 10 years at XO. And it was similar to your story in that, I got into the channel, and there was this like inertia. Like we were growing, we were building. It was this momentum, the agnostic perspective, all of it was so great. And since then, never looked back.
Love it. Just curious, when you were thinking about being a nurse, were you on call when you went to that bar? I just want to understand exactly how.
I promise you, I was not on call.
All right, good.
No.
Because Craig, we frown upon that.
We do.
From a medical perspective.
Terribly so.
Those are great stories, by the way. Welcome and congratulations to all of you. We're very excited for you. And I've got to know a lot of you during this process, and it's really, really cool. So maybe I could fire the first round here of questions, because I know you guys want to hear from them. And so we're just curious, during the journey, there's somebody that you look up to. It could be a couple different people. It could be an organization that helps train you. I mean, we all have those stories. So I'd be just curious. We'll start with Jen. Who has influenced you? Like, how did you get? Who did you look up to in the channel as you came up?
Great question. There are so many along the way, and I've been doing this a long time. But who pops into my mind right away? There's a couple pioneers of the channel going back 20 years ago. Jim Dellis, he was my boss and channel chief at XO. He's now the chief at GTT. We have Craig Schlongbaum, who was, level 3 chief. These guys were building channels 20 years ago when channel was nothing. It's not what it was today. They were fighting for the channel rights within these organizations. And I think that, without guys like that, who knows if we'd all be sitting here today.
Yeah, no, it's good. Craig?
I'd love for them to hear.
Yeah,
I
wow.
love it. I hope they're here.
And you guys here? No.
I saw Schloggy earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's in here.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I feel blessed. Like, I've had an unbelievable opportunity to work alongside of some of the best, people like Craig Schlogbaum, the channel godfather, right? People like Lisa Miller, Garrett G, Jim Glacken, my man John DeLozier. He and I got a chance to work together for some time, and it was great. So these people have all been super impactful to me personally. And then I look at the friendships I have in the channel. People like Janet Shines, Kurt Allen, Callie Henderson, who's right there. And Jay McBain, like, they've all been super impactful. I mean, many years ago, Jay McBain published this report. And he wrote his own algorithm too, based upon who was actually making the biggest impact and who was creating the most influence in the channel. And so way back when, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I want to go follow all these people and figure out what they're doing. And so that really started my focus around becoming an influencer. But it's really a combination of all these wonderful people.
Great names in that sentence.
Yeah.
Really cool. Riya?
So unlike the rest of the panelists, I don't have a whole lot of experience in channels, or I don't have a long-standing background in channels. But Jay McBain is a very influential name. We've done some work with him. Definitely a lot of inspiring work coming out of Canalys and Jay. The one that I do look up to is Ruba Borno, and she runs channels for AWS. And just like me, she's never operated in a channels role before, and this is her first official channels gig, and she's doing some work that's changing the way the industry is working and how we all think about channels in a SaaS-based environment. So Ruba Borno, I'd say.
Nice.
Yeah, dropping some great names. I will tell you that when we got into it, one person, there's so many people, so many partners that helped shape what we were doing, because we felt like we were doing it from scratch in terms of building a cloud marketplace. And but I would say Rob Ray probably influenced me as much as anybody else, because along the journey, Rob really personified it. And the one thing that stood out to me is, in terms of influence, that it really was notable, was when so many people were out at events like these and they wanted to tell you about what they were doing, he wouldn't do that. He would always be helpful for the partner. Here's how you make money. Here's how you solve a problem. And it was almost like you had to push him into saying where he was from. Now, he had a reputation, I think, so that people knew who he was, but that always impressed me as somebody who's delivering a lot of value. And if that value drove you to the booth, and you could meet him. So Rob Ray, definitely.
Yeah, definitely some great names there for sure. So JD and I were talking backstage. I think this is an interesting question. My parents will ask me, they're in their 80s, but I think this can apply to anyone. They ask me what I do. And they ask me about every year what I do, because they don't remember. And it's not because they're older. It's because it's just sort of complicated. And I start describing it in about 30 seconds. I realize I'm sort of wasting my breath, because they're not going to remember what I'm talking about. But I'd like to know from all of you, or at least a couple of you, what you tell people the channel is. How do you define it so that people who aren't in this room will understand? Ryan?
Well, I might have started with how I introed who we were, right? We help tech professionals buy, sell, manage cloud solutions to small businesses. And if I were telling my parents, we'd get this glazed look at, what do you mean cloud? Why do you call it a channel? Like if I referred to it. So we did at Pax8, Don Jeter, who ran our marketing group, he came up with swag, sweatshirts and t-shirts in the company to help answer the question. And all he did was he put the word computers or internet on these sweatshirts. And it's like, when you got down that path, you just wear your sweatshirt. And that was pretty much it. I mean, it's never easy. And I just was at my parents' house last week, and they still ask and still don't know.
And it's so funny, right? Because inevitably, and I know everybody in this room faces this, my parents still think that I sell cell phones and that I can fix their cell phones.
For sure.
Like, there's nothing. I'm the worst. My daughter Abby's here. She fixes the cell phone. I have no idea how to fix it. But it's true. That's a great idea, by the way.
Yeah,
I love that.
It works.
I love that.
Anybody else?
I mean, I'll jump in. Same thing for me. Like, my parents always ask me to fix their printer. And I'm like, I don't know how to fix your printer. Or, hey, can you add an attachment to this email for me? Like, they have no idea what I do. But, at the end of the day, like, my role is to be an absolute relentless defender of this amazing channel, right?
That's right.
And so I get up every single day. I have my coffee, and I get to work with my amazing team. Where are they, by the way? There's Nicole. Aryaka, where are you? All right. I get to work with this amazing team, and we create programs to help partners grow their business. And so that's what we're really laser focused on every single day, is help this channel be better.
Love it.
Well said.
Absolutely love it.
I think the other thing that I'll add is there is no company in this entire world that can put enough feet on the ground to sell your products and services just by themselves. And when I have to explain this to my grandma, that's what I say. Like, we can't hire enough people to get to the reach of where we want to get to, and we can't do that without indirect sales force, and that's what channel is.
I like that. I deal with the same thing. I was just over at my parents'
Yeah.
fixing their printer a couple of weeks ago.
Did you get it fixed?
Yeah. Somewhat.
Who prints anything anymore anyway,
And it's
right?
true. Don't you think it's true, Jen? I know you and I have run together a long time. Isn't it true, though? It's like a family reunion in the channel. Like why do all of us look so forward to this week? And we're exhausted and we go home with no voice and, all that stuff. But it's amazing to be here with everybody. Always.
It is. And I think that is, one of the best parts of this industry is that, we're competitors, yet we all have real friendships. And I think about, like going to a vendor advisory board. We are all sitting together as competitors, all working together for the betterment of the industry, for the betterment of the channel program. Like, how special is that? Like, you don't get that in a lot of industries. And I think that is the coolest.
Yeah.
That is the best part of this industry, for sure.
Yeah. And that was my official question. It's back
That was
to
your
you.
official question. All right, we'll bounce back to me then. What are some of the biggest changes you guys have seen in the channel over the years? Most of you are somewhat veterans, at least, of the space. Ryan, why don't we start with you? What have you seen that's been most important?
I'll tell you one thing that a lot of times in tech and or the channel, buzzwords come out, and sometimes you don't know what it means, or you try and use it and it doesn't really land. I think the biggest change, and this comes from somebody who was also at a cloud vendor company. One of the biggest changes, we as MX Logic, we had a wide product line, and so we wanted everybody to come and buy and just stay and do business with us. So the biggest change for me is an embrace of the definition of an ecosystem, right? So everybody wanted you to buy your stuff and only the stuff with you. Now that's a incredibly positive change that I really welcome, where it's connecting with everyone in and around the channel, and that's broadening in ways that I think is really healthy. I mean, we used to think and talk about one partner who's associated with a customer, but now there's so many influencers, and that ecosystem should all be brought together. And I think that's a change that's the most exciting from my perspective.
Absolutely. Anybody else? It could be positive or it could be negative.
This kind of like ties into that a little bit. If you think about channel or technology in general, 20 years ago, we were, at least in our industry, swapping, wide area network for wide area network. We were saving 20% on a phone bill. There was no real like transformation happening. And with the evolution of technology, the products that we're selling aren't just to save money. Sometimes they do that, but it's about business transformation. And I think that's a special place to be. And I think with that, this trusted advisor community has leveled up their game, right? We are a lot more sophisticated of an industry than we were 20 years ago because technology evolution and the growth of our industry. And I think that's really cool. And there's more to come. That's pushed us, right? Like we all have to be better. We all have to continue to evolve. And I think that's been a huge change, and that won't stop.
And you think about the trends that you weren't expecting, right? I mean, I remember before the pandemic hit that everybody tried to coax me into video, right? Video's the future. You got to be on a video. I mean, I never did a video call. I would always be on the fly. You're on your cell phone. You're doing your thing. Think about that, you guys. 3 years later.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I don't like to be on a conference with somebody and not be on video.
100%.
It's amazing how those things change, right, Riya? Like over time, every year there's a new buzz term, whether it's CRM or video, collaboration. I remember back in the day, this is going to date me, I shouldn't say this. If you're not selling ISDN, you're going to be out of business. I'm like, what? Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. I think I want to add to what Ryan said, which is this term called the ecosystem. And I feel like one of the things that we're trying to solve is in a SaaS-based company, as we sell consumption-based, cloud-based products, there is this notion of siloed partner types like resellers and DMRs and distributors, services partners, cloud partners. What we're coming to realize is we can't really drive holistic success without any one type of partner. It's got to be, we've got to work with the distributor who then works with resellers, and then we've got to bring a services partner in because we need to help grow consumption. And by the way, the customer wants to transact through cloud marketplace, so we've got to go through how to figure out AWS and GCP and Azure marketplaces. So all of those have to come together. The challenge that we're grappling with right now is how do we get our channel or the ecosystem to help us drive that consumption, drive product adoption, and how do we actually tag it to the influence that the partners are having? And I'm sure many of you face that internally within our own companies as we talk to the board, as we talk to our CXOs. How do we attribute the contribution of the channel to growth in consumption product adoption? And I don't know that we have solved for it as an industry, but it's certainly something that's top of mind for many of us that are on the vendor side trying to figure out.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Well, and that whole story even ties into the value of the trusted advisor. I mean, there are 6 or 7 different, paths to creating that business outcome for a customer. No CIO and CTO can do that on their own, which is the value of the trusted advisor. And that will not change, right? With the continued evolution, it only strengthens the trusted advisor.
I mean, the only way it changes is if technology stops.
Yeah, which it will not.
And it's not going to stop,
Yeah.
right? It's not going
Yeah.
to stop. I always say where there's mystery, there's margin. It's going to stay mysterious.
That's good. I'm going to steal.
You guys know, right? I mean, it's going to continue on, and there's always going to be a role for our amazing partners to come in and demystify the situation. And Craig, I know from a supplier perspective, I mean, there's a lot of those trends and a lot of those places where Aryaka has really jumped in. I mean, you've uncovered a lot of that stuff since you've been
And
there.
I think looking at us as influencers, this is where we can really play a part. There's still a tremendous amount of education that needs to occur in the market around channel. There's a ton of companies out there probably sit in this room trying to figure out this channel. And as influencers, the one thing I would change is let's go educate. Let's go educate all these people on the best route to market and why it makes sense and how companies can really accelerate their sales. That's how we can all really help this channel continue to scale and grow, right?
Right, and
100%.
and even taking it a step further is, I think, channel partners, channel futures, CRN, this industry, we do a decent job of marketing within our industry, but there is, we need a bigger megaphone to champion the channel to the CIOs and CTOs, to the other industries on what's happening in this industry. And I think that needs to evolve. I think that's next. Let's get outside of our industry.
I mean, Ryan, you know this. I mean, we've all experienced it and we've all witnessed it. We woke up the financial markets, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, they start paying
how about
attention.
that?
You've been through a great transformation. I mean, it's incredible the magnifying glass that's on the industry and on the channel in particular, which to me has always been obvious. Why would I want to go fish by myself and catch one fish when I can have 100 people fishing and catching 10? It's just simple math. Craig, even for me, I can figure that out. Yes.
So I'd be curious in asking all of you, I know we probably all agree that we need some young blood, some fresh blood coming up through the channel. We've discussed that there's no obvious path to getting into the channel, right? So
Nursing degrees.
Yeah,
Right into channel.
Criminal justice.
So
Degree in religion, by the way, FYI.
yeah, what's maybe one piece of advice you'd give a young person who is maybe just either getting started in the channel or that you'd encourage them to get into the channel? Jen, I don't know if you want to start with that one.
I don't know if this is great, but I think about using your resources, using your time wisely. And because I think in this industry, there's no one sitting in this room, and I don't really know anyone in this industry who's apathetic. We are all hustling. This job it takes hustle. This industry, we're hustlers. We're smart hustlers. And so I think along the way, your time can be wasted on things that aren't helping you grow, helping you win deals, helping you be a better person or whatever. And so I think using your time wisely and doing things, I think back to Jim Dallas, he said to me back in the day, you can work hard every day and never get anything done. Yeah. So getting focused on what you need to accomplish is critical. And I think, again, because this industry, there's so much to do, and it's getting focused on what'll make you better.
Yeah.
I'd love to jump into that
Yes.
one. Yeah, I mean, and actually, my kidding aside about computers and internet sweatshirts, if I was trying to allure somebody young, new to the channel, and we get a lot of that with Pax8 because it's different and it's around technology. So that's an allure anyway. But if you were describing, the channel sits in between a vendor who has a product trying to get that delivered, set up, successfully used by a customer. If I'm talking to somebody young saying, you get to learn this business go to market, which is really about the future. I mean, because technology is complex and there's multiple ways in which you can set it up and enablement, and you need this group to help you do that. And what a better way to learn about business and its multiple facets, whether it's selling or servicing or billing. The cloud has really introduced a whole new dimension to business that I think is really healthy for a young person to learn, which is that journey doesn't stop when you've sold something, it just starts. And so you got to keep going around the sell it, deliver it, implement it, bill it. And so if you were new and trying to learn business, it'd be a fascinating place to come and join.
Yeah, and I would say, just from my perspective, like if I'm talking to a new person, it all comes down to your brand. Like you've really got to be mindful of creating an unbelievable brand for yourself, which means looking at your organization and almost mapping out the relationships you have with the key stakeholders in the companies and the people that are going to actually influence decisions within your company, right? And then really looking at the market in general and aligning yourself with people that can help you along the way. And never waver on that. Never waver on the important thing around your brand and your integrity. Always, always, always hold true to that.
I think one of the things, too, that always remember, and your own James Anderson, I think, really helped expose a lot of this in our community, is we are in good hands. We were talking about it backstage. The next generation of entrepreneurs and the folks that are in our organizations, I'm a little selfish in this. I mentioned my daughter who works in the industry now. We were freaking out backstage, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is getting real. We're getting old. But I think we're in good hands. I think that next generation is going to jump into the channel and rise up and do what they do. So it's good stuff. I know at Intelisys, at Avant, same thing. I'm sure in your organizations, it's that next chapter, and we're paying special attention to that crew because it's the future and we care about the channel. So it's an important thing.
And it's not just entrepreneurship, though. And my advice could just be specific to channel chiefs. But if you want to be a CEO one day, the channel chief job has probably been the most holistic job that I've ever had. And in most scenarios, the buck stops with you.
That's right.
You get to call the shots on what your strategy is overall. But as a sales leader, you're responsible for forecasting, running sales, calling out numbers, talking to customers. As a SC leader, that's different. But with partnership, you get to talk to legal, finance, sales, CXOs, board, external ecosystem. Like it's just been the most holistic experience that I've had. So it's not just entrepreneurship. It's also, if you want to become a CEO one day, this is a perfect learning ground for what you can become one day.
Well, I've experienced that, right? As a president of our company, it really happened because of the channel.
Yep.
And because of those kind of experiences at a couple different organizations.
That's right.
Where you get that well-rounded thing. You put a question out for the group. I was curious if we would ask this, and I think we should.
Uh-oh.
Which one is
Tough
it? 'Cause
questions
we
for
only
Greg.
have about a minute left. Is it the last one? Because that's the one I want to ask.
Yeah, I want you to ask it.
So,
Social security number? Oh, no. There's a different question.
yeah, that one.
Yes.
Well, that's a
Yes.
security panel
Yes.
for another time.
Yeah.
So, in just a couple of words, the one thing I would want people to remember about me is
It's not just business, it's personal.
nice. Riya?
That. And
That was good. I should have
that
come
was
to him
good.
last.
It's personal, right? The one thing that I want people to remember me as, she led and she cared.
Very nice.
I'm a hockey guy, so when I choose to hang up my skates at the end, I want people to look back and say, Craig left the channel better off than it was when he started.
Oh, that's
Nice.
good. That's a good
Nice.
one.
Go Kraken, by the way.
Yeah.
What I think
Jen.
I want people to walk away thinking about me is that I was passionate for the industry, passionate for the people. Because I think in the end, it all comes down to the human beings that are sitting in this room.
Beautiful.
How about you, JD?
I mean, I think they summed it up well. I like all of those things. Business is always personal. And it's always been personal for me across the board. I look at this group, Riya, I don't know you so well, but I'm excited to get to know you better, especially after this and all the things that we've all been through together in the channel. I would just say it's about the relationships. People matter. People say, what's your success based on? Maybe it's how you remember somebody. It's always about the people. Always, no matter what. And so for me, it's always personal. It's always about the people. And I think we're going to be in a better place if everybody continues to remember that as we go forward.
Absolutely.
What
Thank
about
you all for your time.
What about you, though? Hold on.
Oh, yeah?
You don't get off the hook that easy.
I just, I asked the questions here.
My bad.
Thank you all for being here. Congratulations on being our influencers this year. Big round of applause.
Big round of applause.
Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Thank you.